I think.
He got his machine on?
I think so. He's just leaving it running for.
Nope. Meeting hasn't started yet.
I mean, because he's not going to be here, so.
He's not?
Mm-mm. You have to turn it off and then turn it back on, I guess.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And if we could look over the minutes from our last meeting and have a motion to approve. Please. Does everyone have a chance to
So
look
moved.
over? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, moving on. Financial report from Summer.
Okay, I've distributed the financial report to you guys. If we want to look at first, for the month of March, the TDA collected $7,111.54. So far, the TDA has spent and/or committed $99,279.58 as of April the 30th, 2013. So that leaves the TDA has $720.42 left out of the 2012-2013 fiscal year budget of $100,000. And I just caution the board to keep in mind as well that we still do, for the associated posters, we do still have one bill out there for $24.32. So next month you'll see it'll be the $600 and some odd dollars. The other part I'd like to point out, if you will look at your comparison sheet, we had a very, very good March. We collected $7,111.54. So far to date, looking back from 2009 forward, that's the best the board's ever collected for the month of March. So we're doing okay. Any questions?
Okay. Moving on to subcommittee reports.
You got mine.
And Vicky's not here. And we don't really have any application reviews.
No, because we've stopped till July.
So we're going to move on to the legal amendment to the rules of procedure for the TDA board. John and John.
And I apologize for jumping out of order on you. I think this is a rules of procedure change that the board had been interested in looking at for quite some time, and I wanted to, this is the first time you've had it in front of you for 30 days and an opportunity to go ahead and vote it into place if that's the desire of the board. If it is, then it would be one of your rules starting with this meeting. The new section is section 2.2 that just specifies, and I think we've had some discussion on the notion of going ahead and telling applicants for funds that you're not in the practice of funding their ongoing operations. It's not for, don't count on the TDA to fund your insurance bill every year. That's been the town's experience with nonprofits, and before they got a grip on rules about exactly what kind of funding they were going to do, they would often have applicants that would show up and say, well, if you don't pay for our insurance, we won't have, we won't keep our doors open next month. That's not what you're for. And so that's what this new section is intended to put into place, just a statement that you don't incur operating type expenses. It already says they're adopted at this meeting, and if that's the will of the board, it's ready to be put in place.
Just need a motion.
So need a motion.
My concern would be a lot of groups do things like advertising, or a lot of groups come and say, okay, well, I need money to do this. They're already an established business. I need money to do advertising or whatever. It's not a day-to-day operation, we're specifically requesting it for something else. That being said, can we add something in there that excludes advertising related to events that we sponsor?
Well, and it's not phrased in a way that really ties your hands. I mean, it's still sort of up to the board. You're just sort of specifically telling them you're not trying to become part of their yearly operational kind of budget.
Yeah, and I buy that. The problem is it says, this favors use of TDA funds for its recipients' current operating expenses, including but not limited to. It doesn't say anything like that. So, I mean, the wording is just very vague, and it's not something that we should be doing anyway. I'm just afraid that it will tie our hands in a way that we don't want, because it's going to be referenced multiple times that, you know, I mean, it could tie our hands with something we don't want. When leaving it out doesn't limit us, it's something we should be doing anyway. We should never fund salaries and rent that has already been paid. I mean, that's just, to me, that's a no-brainer. And
But someone
approving
else
it
is gonna make an issue out of it.
well, it's, I mean, it's,
Well,
I understand that. I don't, okay.
I mean, the TDA has run into situations like with the motorcycle rally where all of a sudden they're looking at their budget and there's a line item for salary, and everybody says, wait a
It's
minute,
getting paid.
are our funds going to salary? And so that's why it is
Just
sort of
tell them no.
Lucy, well.
But we hadn't, that's where we're at. See, we
That's-
we weren't able to tell that
Right.
because we've not had anything in place to say, well, you know, legally we have this in place and we can't give you salary. Or we can't pay for your utilities.
So we're
maybe
putting this
put
in
a-
so we don't have to hurt people's feelings, or?
No, but it's, you said tell them no, and this is your statement of saying
Saying
no.
no.
Because otherwise,
Well,
what this will let applicants know is, I need to be able to show the TDA, this is what I'm doing with your funds. And this is why I'm not doing this to, you know, I'm not doing this as a yearly thing where I'm gonna plug in TDA funds as part of my budget. It's for this advertising run, and it's for this event or this specific thing.
And that's where we wanna go right now, is to pay for advertising and to bring people in, not to be paying their rent and their salary, so.
I wholeheartedly agree, but you're voting on this.
But then later down the road, something's gonna be.
No, but I mean, isn't the vote to approve funds, doesn't that say yes or no, and then you can change the amount that you give them and specify that, right? You can do that.
We have done that in the past where, you know, people have come in with a $1,500 or $2,000 request, and we find out that they're only doing $300 or $400 in advertising. So we've agreed to fund their advertising and just shut it off there, you know.
I mean,
Are you worried this is bias?
yeah.
What do you, I don't quite follow.
Well, I mean, as far as that goes, if there's an established thing, I don't know. I just feel like it's.
I mean, yeah,
But I
including
do
but
like
not
that.
limited to, but
But it also still states, now like this, it says the TDA board may approve projects and make grants that in its discretion. So it still kind of puts it back on us to where, you know, we can look at that project, and if we say, well, you've put salaries, we now have some bite to it, saying, no, you can't put that in there. It still leaves it in our discretion. Is that right, John?
Mhm.
From the way the
Yeah.
wording is?
Right.
But
it's not an
I do have
absolute
to
because
say,
it says we disfavor, and that will not.
with the bike
just
rally,
this
she did
favor.
change hers though. She changed it around to fit hers. Sorry, she did. Because she did list certain things that she was using the funds for. And then when we was like, no, that we can't do that, then she just changed her budget to where it didn't show it at that. It showed it somewhere else. So I think the best thing is if we're gonna approve money, we need something back in return saying that aren't we supposed to be paying for those funds anyway, the advertising fees?
Yeah.
We have to have proof that that's where the money's going. We don't give the money to them.
Advertising and promotion is what we're doing.
I mean, it's fine, I'm not gonna be mad. I'm not gonna vote to approve that statement, but I'm not gonna be mad if y'all vote to approve. I'm just saying,
What's the suggestion on how we should word it right
I
here?
mean, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't think it needs to be in
it's-
this, but it's me.
Obviously, you feel like it covers us.
Well, I mean, I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm here for whatever the board wants to do.
Well, you do, though.
But, well, I
represent us.
think it's wise because I have seen situations that the TDA, in reviewing budgets as they came down the line, and that exact thing happened with the motorcycle rally. All of a sudden, there's a line item that says salary, and I know I got questions, why are our funds going for salaries, is that okay? And, it led us on a long, a tour of what exactly.
Would it be easier in cleaning up those line items? Would it be easier to do that?
I think you should, and you require a budget of what exactly the funds are for. This is also a means of showing them, we don't
Don't
want to
miss
hear that
that.
we're paying your
Right.
electric bill. This is not, that's not our purpose.
Josh, you prefer the whole one's just not there. so you're-
I mean, I think it's a moot point. You should be doing that anyway. You shouldn't have to say, okay, this is what we're doing. I mean, that's the nature of the board. You're deciding, okay, the motorcycle rally is good, and we want to pay for your advertising, or we want to help you do with this. We're not gonna pay for this.
Right.
That's
Take care
your
of it up front.
discretion with every request. I don't think you need it justified in the bylaws, but that's me.
So like salary shouldn't even be an option on the,
I mean, it
Right.
shouldn't be,
Well, they have, see, and that's part of the problem is because they're supposed to report what their expenses are total for the event. And if salaries are included, then, and advertising and other means of promotion, then those are all broken out. They've got to report that and how their event went, what went good, and what went bad on our reporting system.
Are they required to come back and give a report after?
Yeah, not necessarily come back, but at least present one in writing. We have a form that I used to give out with the, when we signed the contract. And the terms of the contract is our approval, based on our approval. So if we approve a certain amount for advertising, then that's all they can spend that for. And they have to show that came back.
so if we
But-
approve to pay for advertising,
But we've had people, as I said, come in here and expect us to fund the event. And that's not our goal, is to completely fund the event.
And unfortunately, if you'll look back at the session law, I know that we've talked about this before, it's so broad. All it says in section 2B, duties, the authority shall expend the net proceeds of the tax levied under this act for the purposes provided in section 1 of this act. The authority shall promote travel, tourism, and conventions in the town, sponsor tourist-related events and activities in the town, and finance tourist-related capital projects in the town. That's it. That's as broad as you could go. And that's what's hurt us, is because of having such a broad.
And
We're just-
it's
Because it does-
because people would question you.
As
They
far
would
as where
say-
our money's going.
They would say,
Yeah,
well,
why
it
can't
doesn't
they
say in
fund
your
it?
session law, it doesn't prevent you from giving us the salary. And
Yeah.
it doesn't legally.
Right, but you could just, first place,
Yeah.
and that's our discretion.
And this way it was, and that's what our
But
thinking
you're
was.
just-
because-
this is-
I mean,
just
I
exists so they
wholeheartedly
can-
agree with this.
Well, this puts it in writing. And,
It doesn't have to be right.
well, the issue is that then with the
It's,
loose.
the funds are for to use at our discretion, correct?
Sure.
So
What's the harm in putting it in writing?
it could eventually, we could want to fund something and
But
it says it,
It says, the big word there is that the TDA disfavors. Doesn't mean
So they
that we
actually-
decide sometime
actually-
down the future to approve it, because they make a good enough case that we should approve that.
The biggest problem, Josh, and anyone else that's new on the board, I'm the only board member that's still left that was here before, and a lot of things were funded, rules were kind of questioned, and that's why we had John come in, because one minute someone's saying you can do this, one minute someone's saying you can do this, and with all the new people, it was just very disorganized, and we didn't really know about the rules, so we started reading over them and thought, this is a way that we can stop anything further from happening or questioning people asking, so then they know when they come to us that they're asking for advertisement, they're not gonna get expected, because some people get very upset that their events are not funded, or they're not gonna go on, they're gonna cancel them because they think they're automatically expecting it. So this was just kind of a way of letting them know a heads up, don't expect to just come out with $12,000 and we're gonna give it to you and you're gonna have your
We
event.
could say that the TDA prefers to fund the advertising and promotion.
But I
As a
kinda-
second sentence to that.
But now I'm with Mike, I like that, because it says the TDA, it doesn't say they forbid it, just says it disfavors.
Right.
So to me, just, that still doesn't tie our hands. I mean, it just says we disfavor it, not that we forbid it.
It doesn't do anything.
I think it'll
It
do
would
a
have
lot.
the effect of helping guide the decisions of the TDA,
Mhm.
I think. It doesn't tie the TDA's hands either, but
I mean, if we add a sentence that we say we prefer to fund promotions and advertising, I mean, that would resolve that issue. That
Well, and
would
that's
give
why-
us guidance as to
Yeah.
what we will fund
Right.
and what we
Then
won't.
as soon as you fund something that's not advertising or something else, then that's when it's gonna become an issue.
well, and that's why, Mike, I put
That's good.
Yeah.
that's why I put the reference into the session law again, because it lays out like what Summer just reviewed, or the purposes of the TDA.
So do we have a motion? I mean, do we wanna add, take away?
John, you're satisfied with it, the way it stands?
It is, I think it's a reflection of what I understood the
And knowing where we've
TDA's
been.
concerns
Yeah.
to have been in the area of funding things that are operating expenses.
Okay, I'll make the motion based on the town attorney's recommendation of what he's presented us. I make the motion to amend the rules of procedure to reflect Mr. Henning's.
And do we have a second?
I'll second
All in favor?
Okay.
Any opposed?
Thanks.
Okay, moving on to old business. We need to make a decision on all these, the Appalachian Trail, the Ruby Bash Rally, request, the hiker transportation. We didn't actually go through a motion to either table to our July when our new budget starts, to either do it or not do it. So we need to make that decision as a board and get that motion approved. Because these have been tabled for months, and
that.
so we could start with the first one. I mean, the board decision of sponsorship opportunity for the 2013 Appalachian Trail.
All right. I would make a motion to deny, because this is gonna be at University at Western. It's not gonna be here, although they plan a field trip as part of their group to come to town as one of the events at the event. And the amount they're looking for, I don't know that we definitely will not see that done.
But there's several different options of amounts they're looking for. I mean, there's like $100 option to have a booth there. I think that would be, in my opinion, a good place to have. I don't know who's going to represent it though.
Yeah, that's where I
the
was
question.
Yeah.
It'd be good to have a presence there, I think, saying, hey, we're a designated community.
What does
just
their
totally just.
field trip consist of?
A bus ride to town.
Just for the not stopping, shopping, eating?
And it's at best it'll be a day trip, and most times it's shorter than that. I've been to the one 2 years ago in Virginia. They do this every 2 years.
I,
Go ahead.
where, do we have information on that? I'm a little confused.
Probably not in your new
This is before our
packet.
time.
Yeah, this is.
But you're welcome to vote on it or give an opinion. It's before your time. But I mean, we have the option to either table it or say yes or no.
And
And
it's
that's
in
what we need to do.
That was my,
It's in September, isn't it?
None of, are they gonna be like?
was it July? That's what I was gonna ask you, Matt. Do
They
you
can't,
remember?
because we don't have the money.
Okay.
So we either have to table it or say no.
Well, I mean, I'd like to see some information before
All right. then
So
let's-
but we
for
can
everyone to
motion to
have
table it
information
to
on
our
the-
next
I
budget.
can't
You can't form an
justify giving
opinion.
away money if I don't know what
I
it's
understand.
for. So I would-
Just right
I would
now,
vote
we
no.
don't have the funds to fund it, so we either have to table it to our July when our new budget starts and add that to our marketing plan, or even to present it then.
I make a motion to
either.
table it.
Okay.
Okay, do we have a second?
Yeah, my motion that died for less a second. You're gonna, just a second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that one's tabled. And that'll be on our July. Okay, funding request for the Ruby Bash Rally. Do you have any of those? Because I'm sure they're all gonna
No, let's do it, let's.
I think we just need to, yeah.
want. Okay, so we can go down the list and just say table them all until since,
Yeah, I'll make a
July, July?
motion, we table the rest till the July meeting.
So you want to table B, or should it be
B,
B,
C,
C, and D?
B, C, D.
Because E's with
Do
Alice.
we have information on D?
yeah, he's here.
Okay.
I'll get there, sorry.
That's right.
Okay, so there was a motion to table the rest of them, B, C, and D, until July.
Yes.
Who's that motion? And you'll second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now moving on to Allison Outdoor Advertising, the contracts for the TDA board. Nelson, did you want to speak?
That's in there.
It is in there, sorry,
No.
Josh.
I was just saying that you asked me to get him here, and I did.
I'm here.
He's here.
Thanks for having me here, I appreciate it. I grew up in Jackson County, so Macon County. Played ball against a bunch of guys from over here in Franklin for years and years, and a lot of friends over this way. Alice Outdoor's been in business for 50-plus years. I think we've had you on boards for 6 or 7. I just took over this county a year ago, so I'm not sure exactly how long some of our, I know we've done business for many years, I just don't know how long our present situation is as far as the boards you have. FYI, you presently have 7 billboards with us, and they're all the same size, and you're paying $260 a month for those 7 boards. 2 boards have a renewal contract starting next week, May the 20th, a week from today. Those are called permanent boards in that they have vinyls on them now. And the vinyls are boards, a vinyl is a way to display your message that will, you can leave the vinyl on a board for 2 years. If you want to change your message on a vinyl, on a board like that, it's going to cost roughly $495 to change your message on that. Now, before we go any further, I want to comment. You have one of the best graphics people around in the country who designs your boards, and Tony. Tony understands outdoor. What works in outdoor does not necessarily work in print media. You know, what you put on something like this doesn't look good on a billboard. Bottom line is Tony understands that when he makes a design, as long as he has the authority to, can do it more or less the way he wants it, it looks good. The concern always with outdoor is trying to put too much stuff on it. But again, you have 7 boards. Those boards are located in the following locations. You have a board south of Clayton, about where the Goats on the Lot place is, if you're familiar with that area.
Goats on the roof.
Goats on the roof. Goats on the lot. I don't know why I said that. Oh, we have a location that's Goats in the Lot. Goat Lot. You have Goats on the roof near there. There's a board there. That board at the present time is what's called a temporary board, where we can change the message with posters on a regular basis. Some of you mentioned Associated Posters a while ago. That's the company we use to produce your poster boards. Okay. The next location on 441 is at northbound near Illinois, coming from Georgia up this way. Okay, that's two, and that also is that is a permanent board at the present time. Go
Can I
ahead.
stop you real quick? The goats on the roof, is that the southernmost board of,
That's your
that you
southern,
guys?
that's the southernmost board that we have with you, and it's this, it will be the most southern board we have as of November, because we're losing our other location further
Okay.
south. We don't have, that location, again, will be the most southern location we have in the next couple of months. You would have to go to another company, such as a Fairway, to find a board more southern, further south than that.
I thought, if you don't mind, I thought our two vinyls was the one you just spoke of at Otto near Eller and Owen, and then the other one we have is at Uncle Bill's.
It is.
I wasn't aware we had one down at the Goats on.
That is a poster
That's a
board.
poster board.
That's supposed to work.
You have two
Okay.
sets of contracts.
Now I got you.
One
Well, yeah.
contract, the one we use next week, is for two vinyl boards. Let me go ahead and address that.
Okay.
That one is at the build near Illinois, coming north now. And the other board that is a vinyl board is at near Uncle Bill's Flea Market, seen coming from Cherokee toward Dillsboro.
Thank you.
Okay? All right. Your next board coming near Franklin, is really in Franklin, is at the fairgrounds. Okay? That board is seen going southbound, and we changed that location from coming down Highlands Road before you got to the 4-lane to the fairgrounds location to improve visibility and get more hits as people drive back and forth and maybe go to the fairgrounds for activities. Okay? That's, again, that is a temporary board where we can change it depending on what the events are going on. Your next board in the market is on the Highlands Road near Jim Brown Chrysler Dodge. Okay? And on your thing, if you may be looking at an old contract, by the way, the board in Clayton is 6004 NT. The board at the fairgrounds is 5056 SI. You may be looking at if you're looking at a contract. The board 5056 SI is at the fairgrounds. And I think I had a typo in the previous contract. The board at Highlands Road is 5092E. That's a very good board location. Okay? And the board, well, we'll get to these permanent boards in a second. Let me go ahead and finish out with these.
The Highlands Road Board, the poster board too.
Yeah.
The Highlands Road Board is 59.2, and it's a temporary board we've used to put up, various events going on a regular basis. The next board on the poster list is a board in seen coming from Dillsboro your way. Again, Dillsboro your way. It's board 3306S, and it's a good location for getting that traffic that's going back, heading your way.
Do you know
Okay.
where it's at? Do you know what vicinity it's,
I'm sorry.
do you know where it's at?
Do you know where those A1?
A1 storage.
Storage.
Do you know where A1 storage is?
Yeah, I'm going.
You know where Savannah Farms is?
Yeah. I do.
It's really about,
Yeah, I see it.
it's about halfway between Dillsboro and the Jackson-Macon County line.
It's near Savannah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Kinda, sorta.
kind of, sort of.
Going
it's an
towards
A1
Silva
storage.
is past the fire
Yeah.
department, Savannah Fire Department.
Yeah.
But it's basically, it's going
Sorry.
south.
Okay, your board in Silva, you have a board in Silva, that's a temporary board. And that board is seen coming down Balsam before you get to exit 85, which is the first Silva exit. It's a right-hand read. So you're coming down the mountain before you get to the first Silva exit, exit 85. It's a board on your right-hand side. That is the furthest east board that you have with us. Okay?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have other boards available that we could look at before signing the contract that you would think would be?
We do, and that's where I was headed.
Okay, sir.
I mentioned it as a possibility. Let me tell you where your other board, again, that's the 5 poster boards. Again, just to give you a summary, Clayton, south of Clayton, Franklin, again, we're talking about temporary boards right now. These boards renew June 20th. Clayton, you have south of Clayton, Silva, 3422 WI, that board is near exit 85. the first exit into Silva. Dillsboro coming from Dillsboro toward Franklin, that's Board 3306S. Franklin, 5092E, that's on Highlands Road near Jim Brown Chrysler Dodge. And Board 5056SI is at the fairgrounds, same going southbound. Okay. Those renewed June 20th, those 5 boards right there that use posters, we call them temporary boards. Your 2 permanent boards that we've had finals on for a couple of years, several years, are again in Otto near Illinois, and that's Board 5018NO. And then the other board is 3331EO near Uncle Bill's Flea Market. Now, as far as other boards available, we cover all the way over to Murphy. We cover down into Blue Ridge, Georgia, and that market. The issue, and we cover all the way to the Buncombe-Haywood County line. Okay, we could move you to other locations. We just got at this time of the year though, it's hard to find another location because we're smack dab in the middle of. We sell our bill, we sell out 2, 3, 4, 5 months ahead of time. But we could look for other locations. For example, in a couple of months from now, I think there's a new board list came out today that shows availability. We may have a board on this side of Waynesville near Clayton Homes, same company way, that would be a very good board for you. And so we could move from that location at exit 85, coming into Silva, over to there. We just got to see when that board is available. So that's a possibility.
Does that change the cost of it?
I'm sorry?
Does that change the cost?
I could probably, if you kept all the boards the same, I could probably keep that the same rate. Right now, you're paying $260 a month on all 7 boards. If we were selling a lot of these boards individually, that'd be $335. You're getting a discount for volume and because we're trying to help you out. Now, if we, to look further west, I think the board at Uncle Bill's, to tell you the truth, is a very good location for you because you get the traffic that comes out of Cherokee as well as the traffic that comes from Bryson City, the Gorge, Robbinsville, wherever, that market there.
Those 2 vinyl boards, if we change those to poster boards,
That
we would get
doesn't affect the price.
Okay.
And the vinyl boards,
Those would be
the 2 vinyl
good.
boards, the board in Otto, which I really do believe you need to keep because of its location, and the board at Uncle Bill's, I think you need to keep those 2 boards. The board at Uncle Bill's, I think that is a good location for you too, like I said. Now, if you wanted to explore maybe moving a board or 2, we can do it. We can do it midterm. We can do it mid-contract. We can do that. But again, vinyls, we can take a vinyl down and move it to another location. If you got a vinyl up right now, we could put it on another board. But right now, those 2 boards, the one in Otto and the one in Silva, at near Uncle Bill's Flea Market, are good locations for those 2. And those 2 boards do renew next week.
I think those are 2.
Those 2 could probably be better served as
poster
poster
boards.
boards because then
And that's no problem.
that would hype our events as opposed to just visit friendly.
And
And
There's
that
a lot
might
of people
draw,
coming
that
off
might
of
draw.
441.
Yeah, that might draw.
And a lot of people from Clayton, Highlands, they go to Lake Burton, whatever, they're in Highlands, they come up 441. So that board down there at Otto would be a good poster board to have. So you could have generic posters to put up when you don't have an event going on like Tony's done before.
Which is the poster of what we have on the vinyls,
That's
right?
correct. Or you could have an event-specific posters and do that.
And we can change those to seasonal looks too, from what you have.
Now, the thing about let me mention one other thing about contracts. Annual contracts give you, the customer, a first right of refusal. Anything less than an annual contract, you don't have first right of refusal. First right of refusal means, as you're probably aware, that if you do an annual contract, it's your board as long as you want it. The problem if we go with less than an annual contract, and we can do it, is that another salesman, not just me, can go in and sell a board behind you. You got your rules, that's one of our rules. So that's where we are there. But again, your 2 vinyls boards, the board in Otto and the board at Uncle Bill's Flea Market, do renew next week, 1 week from today.
But we could change those to
And
poster
you can change
boards, but the price still doesn't change, it's
Price will
still
stay the same.
$260.
Price will stay the same. And your other 5 boards, when you're June 20th, we can keep all the boards the same. We can look to move them, but I can't promise you right now that I can find you a better board, say if we wanted to move to the other side of Sylvan. I can't tell you right now when it's going to be available until I hadn't been by the office today. I've been out.
So I think we should just vote on these two and wait on this until we see if we've got more options. That's just my suggestion.
Okay, when would you be able to
We'll
vote
have
on the
another
other
meeting,
five?
we'll have another meeting before June 20th. So
Okay.
we've got a little time and leeway to
Again,
think
just
about
like
that.
this, it gets to the issue of trying
And
to,
that's just my suggestion.
okay.
Because we may want to change these. And I know
Well, now-
these two boards, we could make these posters. And these, it has to be renewed right
What
now.
if we put those posters, now, does it change the price if we go back to the 5 boards? Let's say we moved the 2 vinyls, let's say we turn those into posters, and then we go back at the 5 we have now, let's just say maybe we took 1 or 2 from that. Does that change?
So right now, I would leave them the same. Now, what I was also offering you on your poster boards, as I did last year on the contract, we just didn't get a chance to use it. If you had all 5 poster boards, kept them, maybe not the exact same ones, I would give you 3 extra poster displays within the year to be used anytime, anywhere you want to, as long as we found a board that was available.
If we kept 5 poster boards?
If you kept 5
That
poster
doesn't
boards.
tie us with the vinyls?
That doesn't tie you to the vinyl.
Okay.
So how would that work with our events though? Like if we didn't know? We
Well,
just
if
get
Nelson
3 of the
has,
ones we
Nelson
use
would
them?
just have to keep you posted on if he has.
You know, you just say, hey, can we get some extra posts, can we get some extra advertising out here and see what's available? And then we try to find a location that might, maybe in Murphy, maybe, you know, just another spot, maybe in Haywood County, maybe in Maggie Valley.
And then you would have to buy the additional posters, which in that package is an email that, from my conversation with Nelson, that tells you the cost.
I'm just thinking that we only meet once a month, so how would we know?
Well, Tony would work that out. I mean, some of these, we could say we're gonna give you 2, but if there are more available, we'll get you more, but,
And we'll let you know.
yeah.
And the other thing too is, people, I will, you know, I'll work with you on all of these, and we can change, and if we need to, we can change something midterm, and I could probably get the boss to approve if if you want to move to another location, to get him to say, okay, we'll keep that as an annual contract, and we'll do it for the balance of. The problem is, we try to get things 30 to 60 days ahead of time on renewals, and that way, if you let a board go, we don't lose revenue because we're able to go out there and sell it in advance. Because right now, if you were to say, no, I want to drop these 2 vinyl boards, I'd be busted. I couldn't get it. I'd lose 2 months of billing on it. If you see what I'm saying?
But if we told you we didn't want to drop them, we'd rather turn them to a poster board.
That's right.
we're fine.
That's no problem there. Again, and we get to the issue next month if we go to the first meeting of the month. Same thing on June 20th. You know. And next year we'll meet earlier, and we'll know where we are. And I apologize for not getting this to you earlier than we were. But again, bottom line is 2 boards renewing next month can be, they're vinyls now, they're permanent, they can be converted to posters. The other 5 are poster boards, and we can change as we need to along the year, look for a better location again, but I can't promise you that a board that's available on my board list that I will pick up when I get to the office in the morning will be available next week or next month. I can't promise you that because they change.
Just a couple things.
Yes, sir.
Actually, just to the board, I would be interested in hearing just our new board position, folks. Are you reeling? Are you, what's your opinions?
No, I
You
just,
know?
just as far as the location of the boards, the one down by Eller and Owens, in my opinion, really doesn't seem to fit the demographic of who you're trying to reach. I mean, they're already in Macon County at that point, and if you're advertising to people coming back and forth from Clayton, let's say, they're not staying overnight here, they're not, I question the location.
Well, some of these are future events.
Yeah.
So-
And some of that is aimed at the traffic going from Georgia to Cherokee.
What do we put on the billboard?
Like, someone comes to us about a special event, and we'll say like the gun show.
Good.
They would
Okay.
ask us if they could have billboards, and if that one's available, then we would assign them.
What do we
Like
put
a
on
billboard.
them in the meantime?
that's where the TDA just advertising the area.
Right now, it's just
Just like the
advertising, it's
generic.
just a generic billboard.
And there's
It
one
says
that's
Franklin NC.
Waterfall and Franklin NC.
And right now, you got airing of the quilts, you got those, you got 2 boards up for that.
Yeah, those need to come
I
through.
think only
And
2
they just, that
months.
week, that just came through this past weekend.
Right,
so-
they will have Taste of Scotland up and probably.
And Taste of
Probably
Scotland.
working on, if not Franklin Book Festival, they got a couple boards.
How many generic posters did we have to put up through last year? To
We
cover when
actually-
we didn't have to,
Well.
when we didn't have anything?
Can I explain to Josh and Leland for just a second? Sometimes people come to the board and the board doesn't have the money to give them, or their desire is not to give them money for an event. However, they will give them billboards to help them promote their event. So the board in turns pays for the poster and for the monthly charge, and that is a way that the board can still assist a tourism-related event without giving them $500 or $5,000 or whatever it is the request is. So last year, we had several posters that went up. I think we had the Ruby Run, that was one of the posters that you all granted. You did of course, we had several up. We had 2 motorcycle rallies up, Pumpkin Fest, Folk Festival. We didn't have Taste of Scotland last year, so you have 2 of those this year, the gun shows. So through the tourist season, the boards are usually full. When you get into the shoulder seasons, that is when you run into a time where you have to have generic boards put up. But then again, we had boards up, I think you granted last year some to Main Street for the, in town at least, for the Shop Local campaign.
Right.
That was here. But then that only, of course, makes sense if they're shopping in Franklin. You wouldn't want to put Shop Local in Clayton, and you're not shopping local in Clayton if we're telling you to come to Franklin. So, you have to, I'm sorry. Anyway, so we basically went from tourist season, which is the 1st of May, April and May, through the month of November and on into December with Winter Wonderland. So you had about 3 months there that you didn't have, you had to use some generic artwork on those boards. So when the tourist season is in full swing, they're usually occupied. And we can build those, and I understand your current dilemma with the budget, but had you approved some of these other things, those boards the posters could have already been, the artwork could have been created and then uploaded to the poster printing house and then to Nelson to be ready to put up. So, long answer, sorry. Long answer to just trying to help them understand what's going on with the poster business here. And I hope that helps.
We had also talked about cutting back, did we not?
Yes, we did.
Where are we still, was that a consideration? I just kind of,
Well,
just seems like we're about to sign the dotted line here.
yeah, 15% of your annual budget to spend on billboards is a lot of money. Number 2, you're advertising to people who are very close to Franklin anyway. Whether they're driving through or not, I don't think that's who we want to market to. I mean, if you drive to Orlando, you go through Atlanta and you see a Visit Atlanta sign, is that Visit Atlanta sign going to bring you back to Atlanta? So you go, ooh, Visit Atlanta, I remember that billboard, no, you're going to go see a Braves game or a Falcons game or go to the aquarium. My opinion, and no offense to you, I think $15,000 in billboards for this committee is gross negligence.
21,840.
Oh, well then, yeah. In that case, yeah. I saw the,
Yeah, if you add them both, yeah,
yeah.
that's what we're looking at. It's 21,840 a year.
I wholeheartedly think that we should not spend that money on billboards.
But we're not just saying Visit Franklin, we're saying Pumpkin Fest.
But if we had that $15,000 back, we could give them $260 for a billboard.
Yeah, but they won't get it at that price.
What my opinion is we'd be better off to give them $335
And let
instead
them
of
fend for
spending
themselves as far as
$260
billboard.
on 7 billboards every month.
I mean, I've got a concern, it concerns me too, the amount of budget, working budget we have, and that's what the original discussion that came up. You know, we're trying
You
to,
might could sell me on the fact that we should have a billboard, you know, coming out of Cherokee. That being said, you visit Franklin isn't, you're gonna have to give us something better than that, or,
Well, that was the thing where we shift that to the events, when we have events coming up, we would advertise those events.
Are
on
these-
those- on those boards.
Are these all our billboards, or do we have some with other companies?
No, this is
That's
it.
it.
Okay.
How many times do you know roughly, Tony or Nelson, off the top of your head, when we actually did have to put up Visit Franklin, when we didn't have something going on, was it 2, 3, 10 times?
It was about 3 or 4 times. wasn't
Yeah,
it?
3 or
That's just
4.
a rough-
I don't think any more than 4.
Okay.
Just wonder if we need to explore markets further south. Yeah.
My, and again,
we're gonna do billboards, I would say, somewhere besides within.
well, let me
20
give you
miles,
a
better
little bit of
choice.
heads up, again, on that part. If you say, hey, let's go to Hayward, let's go to Buncombe County. If you were in Buncombe County advertising with Fairway or Lamar on a decent board, you're looking at $700 to $800 a month or more.
I
So,
absolutely understand it's a lot more expensive.
and again, whether we're 260 or 335 or whatever, we're in a very reasonable. And I understand your thought about the board at Otto, but my thought also is, maybe it's not a good board to put on permanent, but for advertising Franklin in general, but maybe for events, for those people who are traveling, hey man, Franklin, I didn't even think about that, let's stop there. Bottom line is, y'all have to do what makes sense for you budget-wise and marketing-wise. We work with you any way we can, I'll help you out any way we can. But, whatever you need to do, just ask questions. I'll be glad to sit here and answer questions, stand here, sit here, whatever, answer questions. And won't debate you, but I'll put in my 2 cents worth for how we can help you out. And again, Tony does a good job of designing boards that work, that will work for you. And maybe, again, I understand, maybe 7 boards is too much, too many for your budget. But do whatever makes sense, but, just talk to me and see what you need to do. And again, we can look for some, to move a board, maybe, like I said, from the board near exit 85 over to there. I just can't promise you right now that board is available or when it's available until I look at a new board list. The board south of Clayton, again, I think it makes sense. The board south of at Otto, I think it makes sense. Y'all gotta do what makes sense for you.
So what is your suggestion that we should do?
I mean, my suggestion is 0 billboards.
I like the idea of billboards. I think they do work and they do have a benefit. I do share the concern. We did, Matt's absolutely right, talk about cutting costs. And I would like to look at other locations. I think, just my take on it, I think 7's a little much. Maybe we've got too many if we could look at cutting it down. But I do think there is some benefit to having a billboard. I can't agree with you and say there's 0 benefit in it.
here's,
Yeah, look, let me retract that statement. There's a benefit in having a billboard. But for the bang for your buck, billboards within 20 miles advertising us, it doesn't put butts in beds. I mean, when have you driven through a city and seen a sign that said, visit Atlanta? And that does something for you. If you're driving through Franklin and you're like, well, I need a place to sleep, maybe a microtel billboard, or I need a place to eat, maybe a Fats billboard. But as far as visit Franklin, you're already on a trip. It's most likely that you already got your itinerary.
Yeah, I don't like the visit. I understand why we have to use them, but now I will say if I was driving through Asheville, visit Biltmore, the Flower Festival, I'm going to look at Flower Festival and probably look at Asheville.
I would agree with that.
Now, I'm totally on board with you. It's hard for me if I'm on a trip destination, I see visit Franklin. But if I see something, visit a specific event, I may say, write that down. We may need to check into that. Now, I'm on board with you on that.
considering where the TDA is at on the timeline of where we're going and what we need to do, there's the marketing strategy that's looming. This is kind of getting the cart before the horse, if you will. What are going on those billboards? Would we have a totally different strategy if we brought it down to 5? What we put on those billboards?
Yeah.
I mean, all that's affected.
It's true.
And that doesn't make anything easier, but I mean, that just,
Yeah.
it's a point that we have to
Because I know
consider.
that's what people fight over too, is the advertisement for the billboards. And I can say that the poster, I think the vinyls need to go, and I think we need to make those posters. I know that that's why my recommendations, like if we're gonna approve any, these 2 are probably better than any of these 5 that we have until June to approve.
You're saying you think the 2 current vinyl ones are,
Ones that we should use for posters if we're gonna keep any, or
you feel like those are better locations for us than any of the other 5 that are coming up for renewal next month?
well, 441 coming from play, if it was an event and I was coming to Franklin, I know I would look at that billboard and say, hey,
Yeah. Yeah, but
that
playing-
festival is going on, I'm coming to Franklin. That's something that we need to do while we're in Franklin. And that's off of 441. I'm not saying it's, let me rephrase that. I know those are the 2 to vote on. So I just think those would be better posters if we decide to take billboards, that either get rid of them or keep one of those as a poster board. Because I know those were high traffic areas where people would see.
I mean, you could, like Josh said, you can almost convince me of like the Uncle Bill's, you know, because of Cherokee.
Yeah.
That's number 1 on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we do from there, I don't know.
And those, I'm looking kind of the way Candy's looking at it. If we go west stay west on 73, Uncle Bill's is good for catching the Cherokee crowd, and maybe we can entice them on their way home to Georgia to consider a festival. That maybe they'll make a trip here and wind up enjoying the festival and then going on to do their gambling. Same thing on 73 east of here.
Are we ever going to be the destination for those people? I mean,
Maybe not, but that's the issue that we face with advertising. I mean, it's like throwing an ad in this. You know, you're never 100% sure that you're going to get somebody out of that book, and you've got to try it. You know, we've had some success with billboards, bringing some additional people to town, and the you know, because we don't have the advertising budget to throw it into some of the major magazines. I mean, we're looking at some spreads that have run us $13,000 just to make one issue of a magazine. And we've got to do some kind of advertising to try and bring people who are passing through back. And that's what we're looking at with those. It's just helping out our events.
And I know as our goal.
And I agree with Josh about saying visit Franklin. I think that's
Before
it's
I
almost
would-
a waste of our time.
And this is me personally, before I'd be willing to sign a contract, I'd want to see what's gonna go on these boards.
And that was something we approved too, that we wanted to know what
Well,
was gonna be put up before they.
I haven't seen anything, and we're getting ready to sign a contract for a whole year. I mean, I just, I don't.
Well, that is, again, that's determined by you.
Right, no, I understand that.
And my situation is, as of next
Oh, but-
Monday, those boards are open for anybody.
They're not gonna be vinyl.
Fair
I don't
game.
think we're gonna do vinyl anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that those locations are so precious that,
We have to hurry up.
we have to hurry up.
Right.
I mean, I don't feel any urgency to sign a contract for $21,000.
2 feet.
I don't even feel any urgency to sign a contract for the 6,000 or even half of that.
I think our goal too was picking at the billboards was because some of the advertisement that our festival people, and nothing against the people doing the festivals, where were they advertising? They might have took a poster up in the windows in every shop or whatever. the billboard was to offer something better to them than just a poster in a window. And I think that's where we moved.
It's a
to try to
noble
do that.
idea, but,
Thank you, Josh.
but I don't think our $100,000 budget, and we can justify renting all these billboards for all these festivals. I mean, a festival, if they want a billboard, they should put that in their budget. If we say, okay, well, this festival, we benefit from a billboard, we give them an extra $260, $300, and then we're not paying for these billboards that,
The festival can plan it out themselves.
yeah, and we don't have to worry about
Poster cost, too.
Right.
posters, we don't have to worry about, there's a lot more money in the budget.
You'd be paying poster costs for that,
Well,
included. I mean, that'd have to be part of it.
but it's on a case-by-case basis, and we're not spending money on a Visit Franklin poster or Dead Time, or it's not really our
And I agree with
responsibility to
that.
rent them billboards, is my opinion. I mean,
People wait so late to even come for a grant request, and that was something we were trying to get away from too, because they would come up this month and then mad at us if we didn't give them the money, because they based their whole function on what we were giving them. Same thing with
And
billboards.
did the board,
We
I
weren't
guess the
gonna
last
do that.
meeting, did the board, I thought that it was a really expedient idea for this board to start requiring, I think Matt suggested at the last
months.
meeting that it's been a while,
It's 2 months.
to get all the festivals lined up to submit all the requests.
Pool
Like a
ones.
pool.
Like we're
That
earmarking
was
this
not
much
mine.
money for a pool.
Yeah, that's-
and
Oh,
say-
okay,
Mhm.
just making sure, because I think you need to do that.
And that's on
Why?
line item too, so. But if you don't wish to do these now, that's for the board, it's just discussion.
And it's something we could bring back when we get into our marketing plan, if no one has any other questions.
Yeah, but when we look at just to settle things, unless we're talking about an
Wanna table
extreme
this too?
expansion of what we're giving to the festivals. The festivals are the small part of our budget.
well,
So do we
I
have
mean,
a
I'm not
motion
opposed
to
to
either
billboards,
not do
but I don't think
them?
billboards near Franklin get us anything.
I think we could be more
Think-
strategic about it
I think
and use it
for
other
that
places.
$21,000, we can get a whole lot more bang for our buck. But I make a motion that we table this until further notice. If we lose them, it's okay.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
So to be clear then, are we, okay, just to be clear, we got two boards renewing next week. Those are now, you're saying you're gonna table that, you may revisit the issue later,
Right, and if they're not there, then.
They're not there.
Leave it less than.
okay? But the 5 boards that are renewing June 20th, are we talking the same thing?
Yes.
Okay. Again, guys, I've got to try to sell these.
And we
Okay.
totally
I
understand.
Fully understand that.
Okay, because again, I appreciate all your business you've given me, and I really enjoyed it, and we can work together again, but I'm going to go out there and I don't have a choice, I really have to try to sell these.
I hope you can.
Well, I will. I mean, these are good boards. These are good boards. There's not going to be a problem selling. It's just that I got to go out there and work really, really hard. Again, think about, and again, I understand what your concerns, and we will work with you any way that we can. And again, I do believe the board south of Clayton is a good thing. Is a good location for you. Again, I think maybe if you had just 2 or 3 boards. Again, let's be glad to come back and talk to you. If you want to talk about them some more, be glad to come back and talk to you at any time. All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Candy, can I ask a question? Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
If your boards are up in June, if you're not renewing, did you not already approve billboards to run past June, like you approved, like those other festivals, folk
The ones
festival?
we
or-
already approved for.
They'll be up by June, they won't need.
Folk festival, that's a good question, folk festival.
Because you already approved like 3 boards for that, didn't you?
I mean, if,
It will be up through the June time period, and then it will come down, because
Yeah.
the boards will then.
So they'll
up,
be-
and if
they'll
you-
run
Those are
until
until, our poster boards are up until June.
Okay,
Our
so you don't have any
contract's
festival, you
up.
didn't
Are you
approve
sure?
boards for any festivals that you wouldn't have boards for
We
anymore?
tabled everything else that
We
wasn't
got a
until.
contract from 220 at the
Yeah.
folk festivals in July.
Okay, so you would,
well, I mean,
But come June
My
20th,
opinion
is that
is
folk
that
festival thing going to have to come down?
Yep. Until
but you
we-
already, so you approved it already though, so you
So
already.
it'll go up until June when our
Okay,
contract's up.
you didn't approve a set time for those billboards,
No,
to
we
give
never
those
did
billboards
that.
to them?
No.
Okay, you just approved billboards as available.
contract.
You
for
approve
these other-
space, and then they'll, if you decide not to do your boards, then they'll just come down, and they'll sell resell them. And-
But they'll go up until that time.
Yes,
Until
because
June.
we've already ordered the posters for
Right.
that. In fact, that's probably what's gonna replace the airing of the quills on one of them.
Okay, as long as you
Yeah.
just, you have no like obligation to the folk
No,
festival when
and
you
he
approve
keeps
them.
it.
That's right.
They, none of the donees of TDA funds get any contractual right to.
I just didn't know if you, like, say, whenever they requested billboards, they requested it for certain dates, and you approved that request. You didn't.
Not by
It's-
dates.
It's just as, on the,
As
as
available.
available.
Right.
If we look at billboards, I'd still be really curious to look at, even if you boil it down to 1 or 2 in a bigger market. What are
I
options
agree.
are there?
you know, I don't think advertising is somebody who's pretty much. driving for-
Closer to somebody that lives far enough out that they're gonna have to stay.
Or it's worth making a weekend of it. or
Right.
whatever it may be.
Okay, moving on to new business. Tony Angel, media proposal for the fiscal year 2013-2014.
You all have been at it. You have a good document in front of you. It's short and sweet. It's exactly what I did last year. I've been on month to month. Actually, worked for free for y'all in the month of February. It covers the websites and any other marketing needs that you need. And if you want to continue the relationship, that's cool. And if you want someone else to do it, that's cool too. It's whatever works for y'all.
And this would begin July 1st
Begin July the 1st.
to June 30th of 2014.
That's exactly right, and this is presented to you 2 months in advance, so you can get it in, have time to review it this month, and I believe your discussion will be next month, is that correct? And then we vote on it in July, correct?
Correct.
All right. So just trying to abide by your rules of procedure.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Tony.
That was under 30 seconds. That's the radio experience
Do you do
coming out.
training too?
Yes,
You're like
I do.
36?
I can be brief.
My kind of report.
I can be brief.
I'm trying, okay.
So you're doing good. Do you
30
need me for
seconds up.
anything else?
Nope. Well,
Because if you don't, I'm gonna bug out.
no, you can bug out.
I can bug out.
Comcast, if they want to talk about
Do you have any, if they have questions on any of the LOS or Comcast stuff?
Would you,
I can, sure.
30 seconds each for Comcast and for WL?
Oh,
I
can.
thought maybe the board may have some questions from the joint meeting.
That's the next agenda item
Yeah,
anyway,
we're
isn't
coming-
it?
yeah.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Discussion on the joint meeting, which I was not there, so, if you want to fill in.
I'll just give you a
If wanna
brief,
fill in the back.
a brief background. Part of the joint meeting of the TDA and the TDC was, the TDA had asked me to investigate the possibility of some cable and television advertising for those 2 committees to work on together. I brought them information from both Comcast in Atlanta, which the TDA has experience with and a good experience with, and also from Delene Morgan, who is the super nice sales lady from WLOS in Asheville. She and I had a good rapport, and she did the best she could do to put together some numbers for you. And what I tried to do on those reports that you have in front of you to outline the major differences in the 2. WLOS's spots were 15 seconds, Atlanta's were 30 seconds. And the coverage area, of course, is much greater when you're on Comcast down there than what you get on WLOS. So I think one of the talking points or discussion points was, is the fact, if you advertise in the Asheville market, does that bring people over? Does that put heads in beds in frame?
I don't see one from actual woods of an acre. Nicest
know,
way possible,
I see it, I see that more as a supporting kind of vehicle for events and such. You know, you might consider doing that, what is it called, road trips?
Road trip.
The road trips thing might be worthy of your consideration. It's something to look at. But we know that we get a lot of Atlanta traffic here. So I can tell you that Comcast works and the TDA, the previous members here that have had experience with that can tell you that particular campaign works. So, about 40 seconds there, but still under a minute.
Good job.
How was that? All right, so that's some information y'all can look over. You know, if you have questions, feel free to holler at me or come by the office. And you have a coverage map for Atlanta there too. So, any questions that I can answer for you?
Is there a proposal on what we want to spend on Comcast?
It was actually
Yeah,
technically
look
not
at
a
the picture.
proposal. It was just
The one you've got
technically
pulled up.
facts and figures.
The one you got over.
That one up there.
There's different options.
There are different options.
Keep going.
Basically,
There's a-
Comcast is either 25,000 or 50,000, and WLOS's was 41,000 something, and then about half that. So in the past, the TDA has spent 50,000 for the last 2 years.
We certainly pick and choose. How much was WLS?
41,000 and something, plus production, plus some production.
I watched the
And
radio.
then the 50,000 was is pretty much including production, because we can drop down that spot rate. I had her kind of saturated, but you can drop down that spot rate from 16, I believe, is what it is, to 12 or 14 spots, and have still money out of your 50 to get those spots produced.
There was one that you had looked at, I mean, if we were gonna try and cut, because I know the board previously had talked, 50 was a lot,
Yep.
for Comcast. There was one, I think, proposal we'd looked at one time, where you may be looking into it for around 25, 26,000.
That was actually what Charlene had sent from Comcast. And again, we were just pulling something out of the air to
Yeah.
give you all an idea of what would work. And she did kind of a heavy schedule for 8 weeks. And these were targeted around event times. And you don't have to target them around event times. But those are just the weeks I picked, because it was the easiest thing to do for her to come up with a schedule for you guys. Instead of me going through the calendar and going, oh, this looks like a good week, let's throw spots here. You know, it's logic to at least to me, to try to promote something while you're doing it as well, and not just come look at the waterfalls and hike and everything else.
What was the times for the airings for both of them? I know that we had,
The times for the airings,
like, when they do their 30-second spots.
it's on that sheet right there. Let me put my glasses on.
Oh, I may need to borrow them.
If you look at the, you're welcome. If you look at the Comcast sheet, it's 12 noon to 11 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday, and then on the other side, it shows you there the
Okay,
times.
I wasn't looking there.
Yeah, it's all right. No, you're welcome. And then you'll see the same kind of information on the WLOS sheets. But again, those are not really official, I guess technically, those are official proposals from them, but I did not present them as official proposals, just as information for you folks to make a decision. If you wanted to work together and/or, I think one of the thoughts was, if you wanted to spend 50, then maybe the TDA would contribute half and the TDC would contribute half. I think that was one of the ideas. Was that not the correct understanding of that? So, in other words, you still get the same bang for the buck that you got last year. You just have a lot, half the amount of money.
Is there any way to track, since we advertised last year, is there any way to track?
You
what
can
they
see
did?
the depth on the web analytics, you can see exactly when we started, and you can see exactly when we stopped.
Yeah, we put a
Because
website on for each of the events.
Okay.
And then we know that we hit, we were like, what, 1,000 or 2,000?
1 or 2,000 a month, and then it went up to about 6,000.
On our website, and then it jumped up.
Can I see those?
You
You
can.
sure can.
I'll print them off for you, send them to you, or email them to you.
I have them somewhere too. You gave us the last time, the proposal. I think we have.
You do actually have that on something in one of the old board members do. There's a chart there that shows that on one of the proposals that I presented, but I'll be glad to email that to Josh and Leland as well, because I have both their emails, so they can both take a look at it.
Go ahead and fire it away to the whole board while you're at it.
Just,
Just
okay, I need
as a
everybody's
refresher.
Because then they
email
have
address.
all new boards.
Could you send me a list of
Yeah,
everything,
I'll
please?
send you
Because I only have bits and pieces of emails, I don't have everybody's, I have Cheryl's, and I have Matt's, and I know I have Josh's and Leland's, and John, do I need to copy you on stuff?
I'll take it if you want to.
Legally, do I need to copy you?
Please.
That is my question, legally, do I
I'm
need to
not going to
copy
notice
you?
one more email, that's fine.
And I don't know Mike's anymore, because it used to be M. Gruberman and Franklin.
Yeah,
and
I'll
C.
forward on the list.
No,
So-
Yeah, I know it's
used to be
changed,
Upper-
so I don't have
Sorry.
Mike's now, and I have Summers, and I have Candies, and someone else, oh, and I don't have Vic's.
I'll send you an update.
Mike's always
Updated
been
list
the
on
older
expired.
of the Cowie
So
group
would
of things.
you, we want to discuss more on this, or would we like to table this too? Because
I don't
I'm
think
letting you
there's
know
any
about all
in
this
North
table and
Carolina.
stuff. We ain't gonna be able to add anything else.
And everyone in the Chicago area, I'm
We're finished with you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
I appreciate that.
Thanks for February, too.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Give him the ball.
Now, you have to learn how to do this, everybody watch carefully.
Oh, we don't have time for this, Gavin. Okay,
Watch
we're moving
carefully,
on.
yeah. That's what you have to watch.
Never
Secret
been a
handshake.
lawyer. Way too brief.
Are we discussing this anymore?
Yeah, well, a little bit. Summer, do you want to discuss the sheet that you have right there?
Yeah, I mean, we can tie, I guess we can tie this in if we want from the joint meeting, and I guess it'd be 7B and 7C. I attached on your agenda sheet, if you want, it's the last page in there. Because we really, I know from what I've got beforehand from the board, we've kind of wanted to maybe start, we really need to start maybe looking at some numbers. I mean, this doesn't have to be final, but at least trying to start thinking of some numbers to put on our proposed upcoming marketing plan. Because at the June meeting, we will
That's
actually
our
need
budget.
to adopt it and actually have some hard numbers. And then by July, be able to adopt it. So time's running out.
What does it go in front of the town hall for a budget?
Doesn't.
Or it doesn't?
Doesn't.
Okay.
We approve our budgets. Because the funds, and that's something you guys may not know, but the funds by state law are restricted. When the occupancy tax gets paid to the town cannot use it for anything other than TDA expenses. And those are covering everything that we approve as a board. So.
So on our
we do have the
budget
funds-
worksheet?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
We set up a budget for what our anticipated income is every year. We have in the past taken 25% of that and put that into a reserve fund. So
That's-
technically, if everybody stopped collecting the tax tomorrow, we could still operate for a year. And that was the thought behind that when it was originally
Where's that
established.
fund at right now?
That's fund is approaching $100,000.
It's basically fully funded at this point, so.
We
It's
have
90,
some.
it's in the mid-90s now.
Okay.
And each month when we get a thing, 25% of that goes into fund to finish that. And we agreed that 100,000, we shut it off. So
That's
then
what we
we'll
are right
have,
now in the reserve.
Okay.
we'll actually have more monthly income to deal with.
Quick question. Why would everyone quit collecting the tax?
You could have a disaster, I mean, you just have to look at, we all know hotels can close and you could
The
lose.
income could change.
Income could change any time, and if we've committed, I hate to use this example, but say a natural disaster happened and it took out 2 of our hotels. Well, then we've committed bills, and at least this 100,000, when we tapped into it, we could support ourselves to those commitments that we'd already passed until we could.
That, and if we decide that there's a project that needs approval, and we send a notice to the board, they can amend the budget at that time, because our budget is just a single number, basically,
Do we as a group put together
the budget.
our budget on a month-by-month basis, or?
No,
No,
we
we'd like
do
to
it.
do it for the year.
No,
And that's
we
why
do
we're
it
telling
for the
you,
year.
we don't know our
The-
funds until.
More authority.
Based on last
I'd say
year.
that
Yeah.
we could do just about anything we wanted to
Yeah.
with it.
And that's the thing, is that we've got technically, we're anticipating $100,000 this year, maybe even a little more, because we've seen a major uptick in numbers.
But the town manager in the proposed budget that he has presented, again, it is proposed, he only proposed 100,000 for the TDA.
Right.
For the fiscal year 2013, 2014.
We have a pretty good bill that comes in on a month-to-month basis as well.
Yeah, you can see what that, on the monthly report that we do.
Which on
Um,
this, as you can see from here, like the comparisons from year to year, you gotta think the Franklin Hotel was operating at that time, it is not. So if something closed, or if someone doesn't wanna collect their tax or pay their taxes. then-
Look, that's since we've been in operation. That's our first.
Of last year.
Yeah, that's just,
So we're up 7%.
yeah.
And we did have a good March, and my hotel, it was probably one of our best Marches that we've had.
So,
And I don't know where it came from, it was all tourism, it wasn't like.
So when do we start
construction.
hammering that out? Is that-
We need to start, that's where I'm going with it. We need to start throwing around
we
some
know-
numbers,
we
and
know
by the
we got
June
about
meeting,
100,000.
get it hammered out.
So, let's go on this budget worksheet.
And we can go one by one and just throw our opinions out and go, I think that would,
I certainly understand having a reserve to cover the bills that you committed. I think 93,000 is a lot to just be sitting in the bank, and I think that we can put more heads in beds. I mean, I think we should spend the whole $100,000.
that's really what we're doing.
Yeah, you're saying from this point forward. I
From
mean,
this point
yeah.
forward, we're spending 100% of the 100,000.
I mean,
You know,
Whether-
once we get that reserve built up. And if there's a project that we need to come,
we'll have.
or
to
the
Okay,
cash flow to carry
we're
some funds,
confusing
we
people,
can
so
then
for just a second.
Okay.
The reserve is $100,000, which we're at 93,000.
In that
We're
area.
not using that funds, is what Josh is saying, that we should just go ahead and use those funds.
No.
Along with the 100,000, right?
That's gonna be a whole other discussion. I think that the budget next year, the 93,000 is plenty. Let's go ahead and at least spend that 100,000 that we get.
We're going using the full budget amount for this coming year.
Right, and we did this year
Yeah.
too, we used it and almost
I mean,
did some.
It's,
So you
All
guys
but
did-
$700.
So has the reserve been at 90
We keep tabling everything.
No,
No.
no,
I
it's
mean,
just
we-
now reached.
Yeah.
That's just now reach it. And
And
we've
once
been
it
in
reaches the
operation for
100,000,
3 years.
it stops.
Right,
Because
yeah.
before it was put in place, in recent months, it was, you took 25%. So
Sure.
we have tried to take the arrangements to cap it at 100,000.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, we've done that.
But you're not talking about spending the reserve yet.
no, I think 93 is plenty. I think we should spend 100,000 next year on our budget.
Well, we're saying
I'll
a
agree.
budget for $100,000, so we need to figure out where we're gonna spend that $100,000, and this is what the worksheet's kinda like. So the 5 rotating billboards, we need to decide.
And those were just some, I was just giving you a cost estimate of what I could see would cost us. Like the 5 rotating boards cost us $15,600 for a year. The 2 vinyl boards cost us $6,240. If you figured in Tony's request, his request, if you broke it down from July 1st of 2013 to June 30th of 2014, at $800 a month, you would have $9,600 committed to him. The associated posters, again, plays off of the billboards. They can range anywhere, and in that email you can see, it ranges anywhere from $60 per poster up to, I've saw them get to not 300, $125 per poster. And then at the joint meeting, I know we all kind of discussed Comcast, WLS, the sponsorship for the Smoky Mountain Theater. And then Matt had a good point a couple months ago, maybe to look at for the festivals, putting in like a funding pool. And then I also included on there like non-print advertising and print advertising. Print advertising, I just brought this down as an example, but that would be like your dashboards and saddlebags. And it's kind of, I think Tony had made a good point, it's a little bit different market. So, and if you guys think of anything to add, I just kind of went, at least we might have something to start working with.
So we need to think of numbers. How much do we want to grant for festivals? If we're taking $100,000, how much, and we're gonna pocket the festivals, we need to go and say, okay, we're gonna put the festivals over here. Do we want to spend $50,000?
What did we spend last year?
Yeah.
Can I get like a list of, can
You've
I
got
get it?
You've got it in your budget right here.
Okay.
That financial report at the beginning, that's everything we've spent on for the entire year.
Right.
This first line of $1,300, that's July, as of July 1st of
Right.
last year. And those expenditures are all the way through this list, is everything that we've spent.
No, we're taking away the bike rally.
Aaron specifically
Sorry.
listed for what festival they went for or anything like that.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you an example. If you want to start on that list, you'll see the first one, it's for Franklin Main Street program. That would have been for Pumpkin Fest.
That's the 2000.
For 2000, okay? Social acts, where you see those expenses, the two, one's for a little over 3,000, one's for 392. That goes into the motorcycle rally, that's the rumble the board had.
And that's
Which
not,
we will not have that this year.
that's not happening.
Okay, again, if you flip on the second page, it will be, again, you'll see another social acts, that's the rally, it's for $1,735.84. Keep going down the page. You'll see again for Franklin Main Street program, that's April Full Trail Days. It's the very last one for 2000.
Is there any way that who does this?
This report's done by the finance officer. If you're wanting I could come up with a list of all the festivals and what we've spent.
Like if I could get this transferred into like 13, 14, and then where it shows us what we spent in 2012, 2013, like, so that we can see what we spent in each category last year, and then we can go from there and make decisions about this year.
I mean, I can break that down. Like I said, this comes from the lady herself. I mean, I don't.
Well, this is just very vague.
Yeah.
And I mean, I hate to make decisions locking us into what we're gonna spend on festivals and print media, non-print media,
Well,
without
then-
knowing what we did last year. 'Cause it's very difficult for me to decipher this.
We may want to start with some of these larger items too, like obviously like the Comcast thing's gonna be a pretty big deal. And I quite honestly think the smaller funds being allotted to festivals should be like kind of the leftovers. I mean,
I'm with Lynn. And what we can do in the meantime, if you want me to, I don't care to, but by the June meeting, I'll have it broke down for what was print, what was for each festival. But I'm with Leland in the meantime. I mean, Comcast is Comcast, WLS is WLS, Smoky Mountain Theater, Smoky Mountain Theater. So if we want to look at those
What
tonight,
did we spend last year?
you can look for Comcast, it was $50,000.
Okay.
We didn't do
Actually,
WLOS
it
last
was
year.
a little less than 50, I think.
No, it was over.
It went
Yeah.
up. Okay.
53, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
and from what I can tell, Comcast is probably the best deal.
it is.
But I'd also be interested in seeing the numbers for how it
Yeah.
performed.
They were phenomenal, and, you know, for me as a bed and breakfast, we're getting about 70% of our business from the Atlanta.
My only thing too is.
I wholeheartedly believe that it's a good idea. I just, before I can put my vote behind it, I would like to
But
see
we're
some
not going to
numbers.
vote this year for discussion.
Yeah.
No.
We're not voting on it.
We're not voting on the budget.
No.
No, we just want to
We
know
just want
kind
some
of where we're
numbers.
going.
Do you guys want to spend 50,000? Do you guys want to look more at 130? Do you want to go at 20? We just need to start throwing around some numbers and then actually physically vote on it next month.
Well, we've had such good success for it, just for the sake of a preliminary, just throw 50,000 in there right now and kind of work off of that.
Well, there's a couple options here too, is that we can look at reducing the program, which is one of the things
And doing
we
more.
asked Tony to do. And the other thing is we could also look at the reduced program and sharing that with TDC.
So you could we could figure, now tell me, okay, let's say if you went 25, let's say we put 25 towards it. Okay, either approach would be that the TDC may come in and pick up the other 25, which would give us 50. B, the other scenario would be, we go for the lower rate of 25 that Tony said you would only do for 8 weeks. And you would do more spot on for the festivals or for other events. Because he said he had priced it both ways, that's what I asked him.
Who knows what options?
See, if we
Here's the
wanted.
thing, you spent $50,000 last year, and it did well, okay? But nobody can tell me how well it did. So,
Okay,
You can-
I'll tell you. It went from for an example, and I think that's what Tony will be sending the rest of the board. For an example, he tracked it on our website. Website traffic, when those commercials would air, like for a festival or for hiking or for waterfalls, in 2010, when the TDA officially launched the website, visitors were at a little over 1,300 visitors hit the website. Okay, the TDA started Comcast. When they started Comcast, in a 2-year span, it went from 1,300 visitors to this website to it's now over 12,000
per month.
per month.
I mean, it was phenomenal, the increase was just phenomenal on people visiting our website. And then,
That's numbers I can work with. Thank you.
Sorry, we're just treating you like you've been here for hours.
yeah, that's.
And my only thing with, and I did ask WLOS, because the road tripping and stuff, was the target market. My thing was with cable, yeah, we did get a lot of people, but the cable, how many people have cable anymore? And yes, it's in our Georgia market, but are those people traveling? Are those the people in your universities? Are those the people in your apartment buildings that are coming to Franklin or taking
That's
those
spilt,
trips
I think
here
Tony was
too?
explaining that spilt over onto the satellite television and stuff too.
Yeah.
And that's where I wanted to know where the airing time is that the time that you're, because who are you marketing?
I like
Your
that.
college students or your people
No.
that are going on vacations and,
Based on it looked like the demographic that was supposed to hit, it looked like it was kind of right up our alley. You know. I think it was basically Golf Channel, Travel Channel, and
The ladies.
The ladies movie channel.
Yeah.
So-
That's what I call it, the ladies.
That makes sense to me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And the travel channel, did you say travel
Yeah,
channel?
yeah.
as well?
Channel.
you're,
well, we never seen it. It was my only thing.
well.
Yeah, because it's not in this area.
The,
If you're in
Or
Clay
we get a
County,
video?
it is.
Go ahead.
you gain 10,000 people per month on this website. How does that trend, can we tell from those numbers, how many of them came to Franklin?
Our Pumpkin Fest.
Honestly,
Yeah,
No.
our Pumpkin Fest, they do some Cook County, and they've got about 3,000 people come to Pumpkin Fest.
from the cable network?
Now, well, that's overall, but there's some word of mouth that's going on. And the contest winners are from other places than here. I mean, for the last several years, the
They've all
pumpkin
been-
rolls, the winners on the pumpkin rolls have all been New Yorkers, New Jersey, wherever.
Okay,
And we're airing it.
this doesn't really answer my question. My question
Okay.
is, of those 120,000 people that came to the website last year, can we track how many came to Franklin?
Doubt it.
No,
There's no,
don't.
You just know you're getting excellent exposure.
We haven't received anything that shows.
and hopefully they're converting into,
You're paying 41 cents per person to come visit your website. Is that good or bad?
I don't know.
I mean, what are we paying for other stuff?
Like, we didn't really do other stuff because we didn't have the funding for anything else. Because we basically, and that's what we were saying, like with the TDC and the TDA, let them, if they're willing, let them pay half of it instead of us paying the full 50,000 if we want to buy it, do it. I know we did that visit and see with them before, and we didn't get no tracking information, no information. And basically, every time I went to a show, it was based on each. So
I'd like to explore too, like some other internet marketing options.
Social media.
Social media, I'm not real familiar with it, but there's like remarketing where an ad will actually follow people when they go to different sites, like Google will actually take it and fill in those empty spots.
See, that's where you get into, you know, I'm certainly not going to claim to have any kind of expertise when it comes to marketing at all.
Yeah.
But say we take, I mean, this is just a thought, take a campaign of $50,000 and hire professionals to put us on a pathway, give us a game plan, study our demographic.
haven't we had that in Franklin how many times?
Well, I don't
I mean,
know.
I'm just saying, how many times have people paid for people to do that? I know we,
In 2010, you guys did.
Is that not partly what we're paying Tony for?
that's what I'm saying, I don't wanna pay, I wanna get results now. I don't want them to tell me what we need to do and then us never do anything with it. I mean, that's my opinion.
But, I mean, we don't even have a game plan right now.
That's what we're trying to come up with one. At least put funding or budget it where we're gonna.
We don't have
put it.
enough information to come up with.
That's
I'm
proper.
just
You
curious, what
don't.
info, is Tony actually giving us his opinions on these things, or is he just relaying the message? Like,
No, he provides information. I mean, that's his recommendation between them and Comcast. Between him and Comcast, they came up with the program that's in that.
he hasn't, I mean, he's relaying information, but I've not heard an opinion out of Tony yet.
He usually leaves it up to the board. I mean, he'll say that we should do it, because he says that it's.
Matt,
not
you're talking
results,
about somebody to coach us here a little bit.
A little better, yeah. Not saying that, you know, Tony Angel Media is not a reliable source, but
I mean,
he's done a good job of, I kind of relate it to community management on social media. I mean, he's been doing managing of billboards. I mean, that's a very time-consuming thing that I don't think any of us would have wanted to do. But now, are we looking at not having any billboards? When it comes to
And I think that's where we're just throwing out some ideas here. We're not voting right now on.
I'm not talking about voting on anything,
I know, but
just discussion.
You're talking about, yeah, getting in touch with a legit marketing firm to really,
It's just a thought, it's not a, let's vote on it now, I mean.
I've got one that will volunteer.
volunteering.
Is that legal?
Sure.
I volunteer
We
my
take-
marketing
we
firm.
take donations. Sure.
I'm willing to donate my marketing firm's time to help this board.
And we can cut
And
out.
said
some-
marketing firm is?
Premier Marketing.
I didn't know if you had a couple. You weren't telling us about one or something, I don't know.
It's free.
And certainly I'm not trying to pass the buck off anyone, it's just,
Well,
it's someone that does it, this is a volunteer-based board, you know, someone that does it all the time.
I love Tony to death. Tony's one of my best friends, and I actually hate to volunteer that. But in an effort to get the most bang for our buck, I would do that. Because, I mean, he's 10% of our budget.
Well, that's just a huge chunk we can put somewhere else.
But see,
I mean, we
I
still
can
need
also-
somebody to, unless this firm's also gonna take on management of the website
Right.
and a lot of that kind of stuff. I mean, Tony's services still may be needed
What are
in
you
some
volunteering, Josh?
form or fashion,
And all.
but
List it.
we need professional assistance.
I got for professionals. Okay. Anyway, that'll be up to y'all to decide.
And, well, I
But
mean, it's also up to,
I can-
I mean, Premier Marketing also to, you know, I know you know them well and you know the ins and the outs, but, you know, volunteering them
Actually-
without consulting them, maybe you
Actually, call
have.
the shots. So,
Okay,
yeah, we're good.
all right,
I consulted everybody I needed to consult.
all right.
Anyway, yeah, we can do whatever you need. In addition, like, that's the questions I've been asking, like, what you're paying 41 cents for someone to come look at your website. And whether that is good or not, I can't tell you that. But if we look at other things, I can have my people, and I don't know if Tony's doing this or not, but I can have my people put numbers in front of us saying, okay, here's what you're gonna pay for this, here's what you're gonna get. It's for somebody to come to our website, a good deal. if you're gonna pay somebody else 75 cents to come to your website, that's a great deal. But if you can find somewhere you're paying somebody 30 cents to come to your website, and you don't wanna do Comcast. I mean, I wanna make informed decisions, and I don't have any information to make an informed decision today on anything. I don't even know what we spent last year on the budget.
Which,
I'm confused as to what these numbers are.
that's just a worksheet for us to start working on. The 5 rotating boards, if you want to go down the list, the 5 rotating boards, that was based on the proposal that was presented here tonight for the June. The 2 vinyl boards are based on a proposal that was presented here tonight. The Tony Angel Media is based on a proposal from here tonight for the upcoming year.
I think
The
you're
new
talking
year.
about the more detailed breakout of this.
I'm talking about less detailed. I mean, if I had to, like, can you tell us what we spent on the 5 rotating billboards for last year?
Same price, $15,600.
He didn't change it, yeah.
Okay. What about the 2 vinyl billboards?
Same price. And Tony was the same as last year.
Okay. What about associated posters?
That varies, it can range, depends on your billboards. You might as well figure a good, probably about $1,500
Last year.
last year. Comcast was 50,
WLS was 0.
nothing.
We didn't do
The
that.
Smoky Mountain Theater was 15,000.
Festivals.
A good range would be probably, and we can go through an ad real quick, let's see here.
Someone's got a calculator.
Okay.
Okay, yep.
Especially if we're talking about premier services being cheap to free. I mean, it's definitely worth a conversation.
I mean, and I would be more than happy to have Deanne come next month and talk to you guys and.
Do it.
I'm open to anything, yeah.
Might as well figure about 25,000 on your festivals.
What about
And I know it's all about
advertising?
saving money, but I also know that if Premier's gonna do a professional job.
14,800 for motorcycle.
I think we might have a problem with that, actually,
He
because
wants last year's, you don't
No,
care about
oh,
this
okay.
year's.
I think at this point, it's pretty much, with you being on the board and it being, if it's your company, and it's the same analysis we had to go through when we were
That's
looking at
fair.
your request.
I'm not gonna be upset if you don't.
We had to, you're right. It's just, free I know we can do, because there's no contract there. It's just, there is a, there is a self-dealing statute that says if you're a member of an elected or appointed board, you can't influence the making of a contract that then, if it puts money in your, it's like anything else in the
Well, he
state
was
law. it's
volunteering, I'm
convoluted,
just
but-
saying that it would be only fair,
Especially
because I
if
know
this is
people are
just
gonna be
light-duty
putting hard
consulting
work
here.
into it.
I'm with you. I would need to,
Yeah.
That's fair.
figure that out if there was gonna be a, for the services. And I know you didn't ask for it, that's.
No,
Okay.
Right.
Either way, I mean, if
Can't you mention?
if you have to pay me something, I can do like $1 a month. If it's free, then that's
And
fine
I'm looking
too.
at Premier as not a part of one of our companies that we work for. I'm thinking of them as a professional company that should be compensated for something that they do. I don't think that we should just say do it for free. That was all my thing.
Well, if-
Because I know
I
that
think we
they're
can
worth
really
it.
engage the
Of
services.
that
that's one of the-
25 for festivals, 14.8 of that was for the motorcycle event, which we're not into this year.
14.8.
14.8.
Which we would not be spending this year.
How much on non-print advertising? And what do you consider non-print advertising?
Well, that would be the Comcast.
There's
We're separating that out.
I mean, I know.
Radio, that would be radio, TV, those kind of things. And I don't think we did
Web marketing.
No.
Well, we have our
What
website.
is that number if you take out the Comcast?
You took out Comcast, I'd probably say,
There's no other web advertising going on right now.
well, Tony maintains like the TDA's website,
Right.
and he updates it with upcoming events. So I mean, you'd have to figure that.
There's like no
is-
advertising on Google or anything like that.
No, not,
No. And again, this is something that I just kind of started to get us somewhere. This is just things for this coming year. Like right now, I mean, from last year non-print, it's like Mike said, you're looking at Comcast. Print advertising, we've not done any print advertising. This would be something maybe to consider or something else as far as print.
This is a TDC, they were doing stuff like the visit and.
they were
They were
doing
doing
the
more
print.
print.
They were doing the print.
Right.
And
Yeah, we were doing
spent
the-
half of our budget on Comcast.
Right.
So,
Well, like we said, I mean, if they're taking care of some of the stuff that's going on.
so at that meeting, were they willing to pay half? Was that just a
That's something
discussion
they'd have to
they would
consider,
consider?
yeah.
I think.
So we're no further than we were before.
Yeah, no, I think we are. I think kind of, and those that were there from the joint meeting, I think definitely when we were closing it, the TDC and the TDA seemed to both be on board with a proposal with the Smoky Mountain Theater, working something out. I never did feel like we reached anything with Comcast.
I feel like they said, I heard someone say that I think it's better if you guys continue to do the Atlanta area and we'll continue to do the
More print.
So that was my feeling too, was the only
Yeah.
thing that I felt like we were in a joint decision with, making a decision on was the
Continue.
sponsorship
Yeah.
with Smoky Mountain Theater.
And it looks like their print is generally North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida. And some Georgia based on Florida.
But that's,
So since we're no different right there, basically, what about the theater? I mean, what do you think about?
From some of the options, you know, we had posed the question, this come from the TDC, that the TDC had posed was how do you need help? Is it beneficial for us to look at doing a concert, trying to bring people in, kind of what we did with Kelly Pickler and Charlie Daniels? And they said no, that it, and correct me if I'm wrong, those who were there, that it would be more beneficial if we could do like a seasonal, like if we wanted to
yearly.
sponsor either a yearly or a season, like if we wanted to sponsor like the fall or the spring lineup, that is more realistic to them as opposed to us just sponsoring one thing.
Which means that we go on the print media, right, I believe that's what you can make sure.
Yeah.
That they disperse all over too.
Yeah, we'd be on their book, we'd be on their handout.
What is your thoughts on that as a board? I mean, if they're the ones that are there, like,
And they basically, they provided a number for us of between 30 and 50,000. If we're looking
And that
at
was split.
30,000, and that had some interest on being split with TDC. The TDC people were interested in maybe splitting that $30,000.
30.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's what.
And we would pick,
And then that way, they've got a known amount coming from us instead of coming every quarter, trying to get 10 grand out of it.
and then we could pick if the TDA wanted to sponsor fall and TDC wanted to do spring or something. Is that kind of how?
Yeah, or just,
I think the 30 was for like the whole year,
yeah,
because that's kind of
that's
where.
what they were aiming at.
30 between the two,
Nah,
or
like-
30 them and 30 us.
No, 30 total.
Total.
Thirty
Split it
15 from
15.
each.
Right.
I think that's better than the 50.
I mean, I would feel comfortable if we wanted just to put in, I mean, I'm more comfortable with 15 than I am, you know, spending a full 30 or full 50. Because they do, I mean, they obviously do, I mean, they bring in a crowd, they have the numbers to prove it. But that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, and they've got substantial, I mean, their draw is from, I think 72% or not from Macon County.
I do feel, this is my opinion, I feel more comfortable if we could pinpoint it instead of just saying, hey, we're gonna give you a yearly contribution of 15,000. I'd rather be able to pinpoint it and say, hey, we're gonna help you sponsor the fall and winter season, or we're gonna help you sponsor, so we could actually link it to something we are sponsoring.
Well, we're sponsoring a year. That's the way I would like it.
Right, but if they come back and said, I think it would be easier if anyone ever said, well, what did that 15 go for? You could say, well, it was to be the fall and winter events versus, well, for the year, we did XXXXX. That's just my opinion. I feel more comfortable if we would look at doing more of a seasonal sponsorship.
Or here's the amount of money that we're gonna put up.
Yes.
And those monies are to be spent on marketing outside of our area.
He would
Yeah.
provide
And
a
they would do
report.
And I don't know how it's broken out right now. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But didn't he say he could print us out a report and say exactly where that money went?
And that would be.
And they would do that, because they.
And that
put
would be,
everything-
That's my concern.
that would be the
I'm
report
in
that they would fill out at the end of the year to us, reporting on that sponsorship,
Well,
so.
they're feeling.
And if we've got
You know,
some.
and then to take it a step further,
That's
if
okay.
we developed Franklin, North Carolina e-news campaign or something like that along the lines, then we have access to their mail-it list. You know,
And they have.
we can, you know, we're helping you out with funds.
I'm curious with their privacy policy,
Yeah.
if they're allowed to release that or any way, shape, or form or not. Things
Right.
have to be used for their own, but anyway, it's worth checking. But I look, when I go traveling anywhere, I'm on the internet about it. I mean, it's,
I know I get a lot of emails, I didn't sign up for it, so.
well,
Yeah, but we could be
Get it somewhere.
black flagged pretty quickly, I guess.
No, yeah.
That's a
It can
concern.
happen.
That's just a thought.
No, I like that.
So do you want to just, I hate to say table, but you get the information to the people that have not been on the board
Well, we're only,
as far
we're
as.
only discussing.
Let me finish, Mike, please.
Sorry.
Get the information to them that they've requested so that we can move further with this and decide where we would like to put the funds so that we can do a proper budget and decide where we're going with everything. Because they haven't been able to see with the Comcast or WLS, we've never done, but get it broke down for you so then we can pinpoint where we'd like to put our funds.
we put it also on the agenda to maybe have Deanne here to talk to us a little bit.
Well, do you need to check on something before I have to end?
If you were gonna negotiate a contract with them, I would need to talk to you about it and look through that, but not just to have them come and speak, there's no problem with that. Or to volunteer services. there's no-
So we can put her on the June. Okay. Is there any questions about that? I mean, I want us to be able to get something. And we can't do that if they don't have the information and y'all don't have the information.
And where's Tony at on our, what's he's got a proposal in front of us, right?
Right. So.
So-
Is it worth asking
I
Tony
don't
how many?
think that we can vote on that right now.
No, it's-
No, I'm just
Okay.
At some point, we're gonna
reminding
ask Tony-
everyone that that's still,
Yeah, I mean, at some point, you may just need to ask Tony how many hours he roughly thinks it takes to manage some of these certain things.
I think that was in his
Yeah,
20 hours.
if we wind up not doing the billboards, then that's a
Yeah.
certain
Yeah, he's
amount
got
of
20
time.
hours for every, I don't know if he broke it down all the way.
I
to
searched, yeah.
Like, how much time does he spend a month managing the website and a few other?
I think at one time he did, but we don't have that information in the packet. So everyone in agreement, so in June we have all of the sponsorships tabled until then to find out if we're going to done the budget. But then you gotta consider, in June, we still don't have our marketing plan as far as what we're doing. So what good is it gonna be to table? And I'm just saying, we've spent this time, and at least we're talking about it in discussion, but
Well,
these people have been tabled for 4 to 5 months, so.
How much money do we have in the bank right now?
Budget's
$700.
We can't give away too much anyway right now.
But that's why I was like, yes, no, table, and we tabled, and we've tabled it all.
We need a marketing plan before we can make any more decisions, and we need some help creating a marketing plan.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if we just could, if we could get some information on what last year was too, that'd be helpful. I mean, this is information, but it's not in the budget form. I don't know who we need to
It's
talk to
never,
who did that.
I mean, I can work on it, it's never, I mean, it's not like it's been hidden or anything, it's just, it's never been done before. So what you're given is what we've had to work with in the past.
And we don't get it
Yeah.
until
I
just.
mean, and this
I
is
made it.
perfect, like, this is perfect, but if we can just get what.
And
we
I will, I
spent
don't care
last
to,
year.
I don't care to at all.
Yeah,
And then we'll work from that from next month.
Yeah. Awesome. And you guys will probably figure out that we're extremely handcuffed as far as communication goes with the board, because we can't, we can't email each other, discuss it.
Right.
Yeah,
Did
we
you guys know
probably
that?
need to have
No,
a-
I don't.
We need to have a
That's-
heart-to-heart.
Yeah. You may need to have a hard
Okay,
time
well,
with
let's
me.
just do the heart to heart now, because I can't table anything else, or it's gonna be 9 o'clock in June to do that, so let's have the heart to heart now.
I'm just,
I mean,
hey,
seriously, no, I'm serious.
we're extremely restricted on
Yeah.
communication.
The long and the short of it is that both of you now are members of government. You know, you're part of an appointed board that is a public body under the North Carolina open meetings law. The long and the short of that is you basically can't do anything to circumvent, except in very rare circumstances that pretty much don't apply to this board. You can't do anything to circumvent having all your discussions here with this board. So you can't just email everybody and let's just have a discussion out in cyberspace, because it hides the ball from the public. That's probably the most important thing to know as a member of this board.
And, yeah, you can carry on a discussion with a single individual, but you can't carry on an.
2 or more is a meeting.
2 or more becomes a meeting, and that's part of the problem, because that becomes the majority of the quorum. And that's a problem.
So you
So how much can we discuss in person if I decide to call Mr. Bateman over there and discuss something with him?
If
And
you
2 or
discuss
more
it
is-
with
Let me
Matt.
clear up, 2 or more is not a meeting, only if the 2 have been, or more have been formed as a committee of the board.
Right.
That's a meeting.
That's about, yeah.
But less than a quorum can talk, and you
Yeah,
guys
you
can
can
talk
talk.
amongst yourselves. It doesn't, you and Matt can talk all night long about this stuff if you want to. That's not a meeting, that's not, no matter what she says, you don't have to share what.
Thank you.
You don't have to share what you discuss with this board, but you can't discuss things as a majority of the board without being in a properly called meeting like this.
Thought the wording was majority of the quorum.
Okay,
That's close.
is that kind of settled just a little bit?
I'm good with that.
I don't know,
I just
is
wanted,
everybody
I just
okay
want
with
everybody to
that?
know.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I.
Yeah.
As you can
I'm
see,
glad
I
you
mean,
did.
that would restrict things from moving along.
And I
at a
can't, I
quickening
don't
pace.
email
I was
it.
gonna say, I mean, yeah, everything's gonna take 6 months.
Leland, I can also at any point in time request through John any emails that you send regarding TDA, because it's the Freedom of Information Act.
It's not freedom of information.
Well, it's public
It's a
records
public
law,
record.
whatever.
Okay.
So I can get a Freedom of Information Act on the TDA.
And she will.
And she,
To have.
and she has.
So I can ask for any emails that you type TDA in, and you have to print off all of those, give all of those to John. John has to decide which ones that have priority to, based on being a member of the media. So that's why.
Pretty much ought to either pick up the phone or
Pick up the
save it for
phone.
this meeting.
I'm
Is
just
that-
going
that's
to
it, put my
run.
messenger pigeon, is that okay?
Brittany can intercept it.
That's a good point, because I totally forgot about it. And the
Yeah, I'm
emails
glad-
do
I'm
not
glad
come
you
from
brought
me
that up.
anymore, they come from her because she was a government employee. And I don't have a government email.
I don't email any of y'all, just FYI.
Yeah.
But you can see when we got to cram it all in
I
these
know.
meetings, or bust, almost.
Basically.
Unless you want to start meeting every week, I'll be happy.
We're not gonna have a marketing plan until August. That's basically how it is gonna be.
That's why I'm screaming
Yeah, I hear you.
something
You're always
outside.
screaming that. I'm just kidding.
Well,
I'm kidding, I'm kidding, I'm kidding, I'm kidding. I gotta get some laughing
The
here.
good thing about the marketing plan that we do, we can always amend it later.
That's true.
So if we come up with the number that balances our budget at 100,000, and we proceed, and then we find something that we, halfway down the year, of course, we've got some expenses which aren't going to reoccur. Right now, we're losing 2 billboards,
Right.
unless we decide to put them back. And then there's the 14.8 that we spent last year, that's not going to happen this year. So
Well,
those-
Fast Track have a lot more money to put in other areas.
yeah, And that's the thing, and if we want a producing contest, I mean, we will have one. But we gotta know the value of the change that we have. And we can amend our budget. That's not a,
And we'll keep that in mind.
not an option. I mean, this,
Budgets are like rules, they're broken.
you know,
It's not, okay, this is what we spent, this is what we're planning on spending.
Yeah.
Budget is not set in stone.
Right.
yeah, exactly. And
But before you can start planning, no, but
Okay,
you spend
is-
more than $700 on that anyway.
Yeah, and we got 2 months. I mean, it's not until the
Okay,
July.
everybody's looking at me, so is there any more items for the board, and then we can have discussion afterwards if you want to discuss, but.
Oh, yeah.
Less than a majority.
I'm sorry, I really am. At the joint meeting, Yugo Tour was brought up by me. Just saying, what can we salvage out of combined TDC, TDA, $11,000 to put toward.
I think that they should give us all our money back.
So then another board member brought up, well, is there any legal avenues to say, we didn't get what was basically promised, I guess, I don't know.
We didn't get anything.
I don't know.
And I'll have to look into that a little more to give you a better answer. As much as it costs to actually go pursue a claim against somebody, you're not gonna get very far on $11,000, and you can't get attorney's fees for most things, although certain claims you can. I'll take a look at it.
And that's just not necessarily my desire, is to go after somebody, it's just to use the stuff that's already created
Yeah, that's what I
to our
should say, that
advantage,
was,
if we can.
yeah.
Sure.
If we get, at least, if we couldn't get no compensation, at least maybe we get the videos, right,
We have
Matt?
access to them.
Yeah.
And
Whether we value them.
It could be that a year
or
of free
not. service
service or whatever it is they're offering is as good as you know, if it's worth anything. And I don't know, I'm not expressing that opinion, but
They don't have nothing to
offset by the
give, they've already
expense of
squandered
suing somebody.
No, yeah, I agree.
Probably not.
Any other items from the board?
I'm over here.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I see y'all June 10th, 5:30. And get me.
How is it long?
He got his machine on?
I think so. He's just leaving it running for.
Nope. Meeting hasn't started yet.
I mean, because he's not going to be here, so.
He's not?
I'm going to turn it off and then turn it back on, I guess.
Okay.